Welcome to this year's edition of the NFHS Football Video Training Series. We're studying the National Federation of High School Football Rules and Five-Man Mechanics. This is our video training collection, sponsored by the Arkansas Association of High School Officials, the AAHSO, helping good officials get better. Our technical advisor for the rules is George Demetrio. Greg Downham is our line of scrimmage technical advisor. Senior technical advisor is Dax Hill. This video is produced by Matt Bivens. Executive producer is Walt Coleman. I'm your host, Todd Allen. We'll start this week off with kickoffs because we've started last 2 weeks off with kickoffs and we're still getting these fouls after the dead ball interval and nobody is picking them up. Guys, these are just fouls that we've got to get. Watch the ball carrier comes to the outside. All the defenders start to let up and it's clear that the play is over, and then this headhunter comes in and whacks this guy, drives him into the ground. And we're lucky that we don't have an injury here on this play. And these are the types of fouls that when we have too many people watching the ball carrier, that we miss. Opposite side of the field could have picked this up. This is the same problem, though, that we had last week in the training video. The line judge has come too far down the field, and now they're too close together with the umpire, who is tracking forward progress up the field. If you spread out and keep this play boxed in, and the line judge is further up here, looking at all of the action instead of staring right down the line where the ball carrier is, then I think the line judge picks this up every time. So this is a mechanical problem that we have to fix. Let the umpire bring the forward progress up the field. Line judges, stay deep, stay wide, and officiate around the ball, and we'll pick these fouls up. Here's an interesting play to take a look at. There's so few absolutes in football. When we come across one, I love to talk about it and really emphasize it, because in defensive pass interference or offensive pass interference, the element that you have to have is a ball thrown beyond the neutral zone, and it cannot be touched before it crosses the neutral zone. If you have that, you cannot have pass interference. So let's take a look at this play. Single back set, quarterback fakes a little dive and then throws out here on the flat, and we've got a collision and an incomplete pass, and a flag goes down. I want to point out a couple of things here. The only official, that's the first official, I should say, that stops the clock here is the line judge. So I'm going to say the line judge knows one of two things. He either knows that the pass is incomplete, or he knows that there's a flag on the play. And I'm going to say from his position, if we go back and look at this angle right here, I'm going to say that he knows this is an incomplete pass. And we get a flag here for defensive pass interference. And there's clearly early contact, so I see why we start down that path. But there's a lot of chances to get this right. Umpire looking right at the play. You've got to know that this ball is not thrown beyond the line of scrimmage. Line judge, I suspect you know that this ball is not thrown beyond the line of scrimmage. We have to know when we report defensive pass interference, somebody's got to say, whoa, whoa, whoa. This ball was not thrown beyond the line of scrimmage. Because when we have a mistake, the head linesman obviously gets caught up in the action here and loses that awareness of where the line of scrimmage is and throws the flag, and then is tunnel vision. He's focused on the contact being early. I get that. Although I'm not excusing it. You still have to know where the ball is thrown. But what I do suspect is that someone who's not caught up in the action could simply point that out. If we point that out, then we can simply pick this flag up. And then I want an announcement on the microphone from the referee. There is no defensive pass interference as the ball was touched behind the line. Or there was no defensive pass interference. I think this is even better because the ball did not cross the line of scrimmage before it was touched. So either one of those things can get us out of this play, but we don't get out of it, and we improperly enforce this as defensive pass interference. And I think the back judge is the only one that I really let off the hook here, but when we improperly enforce a penalty, it is 5 mistakes. It's 5 downgrades. Everyone is responsible for penalty enforcement, so get involved. When there's a play that's this tight, somebody's got to ask that question. Here's another interesting play, and it's another example of maybe one of those where we could have just talked through it a little bit more. Because anytime you have a foul that you don't regularly see, I'm not talking about offside or false start or those procedural fouls that come in, 12 on the field, things like that. But this is one where we don't really understand the rule, and I don't know exactly how we got to this. But let's start off here by first, you see that the player here at the bottom of the screen is going to come onto the field. The ball hasn't been snapped, and he makes it onto the field and actually gets out toward the center of the field. But what's the restrictions for the defense? They can be anywhere on the field as long as they're not offside or in the neutral zone. Basically, that's it. Before the ball is snapped, they have to be on the field. And we see this player clearly, he gets inside the hash marks before the ball is snapped, and we throw this flag. And let's go back and let me look at it. Let's count, because what I'm thinking immediately here is we've got 12 on the defense. But if we go back and look at the play before this player comes on, let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is actually the 11th player coming onto the field. That's why it's important that we know in our dead ball mechanic, we count the players. This is clearly, the line judge is clearly responsible for counting the players on his side of the field. And so the team on his side of the field is the defense. So he should have already known that there were only 10 players on the field. He also should have been signaling to the back judge that he only had 10. Now, that's the signal for 10 players is the thumb down. Now, if the back judge has 10 players, he should also mirror the symbol down. But if he's counting 11, he should give a closed fist and then a little whirly bird symbol where he takes his index finger and spins it in a circle. That means recount because we have a different number. And so then we could count that. Now, if we're not 100% sure, I don't think we drop the flag, because you should not throw a flag for what you think is a foul. Then you just count them up. If you can get a good count, you get 12 players on the field before all the players start to substitute again, then you drop a late flag for 12 on the field. But this one is not 12 on the field. This is the 11th player. What he did coming into the game was perfectly legal. If the ball had been snapped and he comes off of the sideline onto the field of play, then you've got a foul for illegal participation. But if he establishes his position on the field before the ball is snapped, and he is the 11th player, that is perfectly legal play. So here again, I don't think we understand what the requirements are for the defense. We don't really know the rule, and we guess at it, and we're wrong. And then there's a conversation on the sideline that doesn't go well, because the coach points out he is only the 11th player, which should have told us this is not a foul, but it didn't. So understand the rule, have a good system of accounting, know in your pregame who's counting what. What I always did on a 5-man crew, the referee umpire always counted the offense. The back judge always counted the defense. The head linesman counted the team on his sideline, whether they were on offense or defense. And the line judge counted the team that was on his sideline, regardless of whether they were on offense or defense. However your crew does it, you just got to make sure you do it. You all understand what you're doing, and you do it consistently on every play. And it keeps you from making this mistake. Let's look at a couple of plays, but before we do, let's take a look at 9.4.5, running into or roughing the kicker or holder. A defensive player shall neither run into the kicker nor holder, which is contact that displaces the kicker or holder without roughing, nor block, tackle, or charge into the kicker of a scrimmage kick or a place kick, other than when contact is unavoidable because it's not reasonably certain that a kick is going to be made, or the defense touches the kick near the kicker and contact is unavoidable. The contact is slight and partially caused by movement of the kicker, or the contact is caused by R being blocked into the kicker or holder. So a pretty good understanding now of 9.4.5. Now let's take a look at these couple of plays. In the first one, we get a big rush on the outside, and this player leaps forward in an attempt to block the kick and is unsuccessful, but there is contact with the kicking leg. And we got to make a decision of how much contact there is. I do notice from this end zone shot that the kicker actually jumps straight up, kicks the ball, and while he's still in the air, his body spins, which is impossible for him to do. It has to be from the contact with the kicking leg, and he goes down. That contact is slight, but is it avoidable? I believe that contact is avoidable, and on this particular play, I believe this is running into the kicker, the 5-yard variety. Now, on this shot, we get a big rush from the outside again, and then there's contact with the kicker, and we completely displace the kicker. Then this certainly should have been roughing the kicker. And if we did make contact with the ball, I think it's important for the referee to give the tip signal by swiping the fingertips together above the head to indicate that you did see the defense make contact with the ball, and that would be why you did not call roughing the kicker. I certainly think that we need an explanation to the coach if we have just a moment to do that, and that could come from the wing official just over the radio saying they got the ball. The ball was tipped, and that's why we didn't call roughing the kicker. But I want to go back to this shot here from the wide side, and I want to talk about why I think changing our mechanics on this is really important, because I think from this position where the ball is kicked, the referee is straight lined. What he really needs to see is in front of the kicker, and he can't see that because he's so deep. He's 20 yards off the ball when the ball is snapped. So what I like to do, and this is the way that I officiated these plays when I was a referee, is I like to get a step or two ahead of the kicker, so that when he takes his step up, I'm parallel with him on a line of scrimmage. That way I can look right in and see contact, whether it's avoidable, whether it's slight, whether it displaces. So a much better view from this angle when the ball is kicked than from the angle that we have with the referee on this play. The important things that you need to look at pre-snap are the legality of the snap here. And then once the ball is snapped, we've got the umpire working guard, center, guard. So referee, your vision's on the near side, here on the outside, and then on the far side. And from this position, you have to take a wide scope. But I do believe that you can see both of these blocks and know what to focus on. And then once the ball is kicked, you're in perfect position to rule on the contact with the ball and contact with the kicker, the kicking leg, or the plant foot. Whether the player is blocked into him, there's just so much, but it's just such a better angle to rule on action of the kicker, which is the critical element of this potential foul, and why we got these questions from coaches asking why we're not calling roughing the kicker or running into the kicker. That is it for this week. Thanks for sticking with me till the end. You know, so much of these training tapes, we talk about the things that we need to do better, because that's an important part of an improvement process, reviewing the mistakes that you make and working on getting better each week. It's just really, really important. But what I don't like about it is it just seems like I'm complaining all the time. And the reality is, week in, week out, play in, play out, you're 90% right or more. You guys do a fantastic job, and you've made tremendous headway over these last 12 years we've been putting this video training series together, and I just think about all the great things that you're doing, and I wanted to say thanks for your hard work. Thanks for working hard to get better every week, and for going out there and giving the young men and women that play high school football all around the world a fantastic football game and fantastically officiated. Just a few things we're always going to try to work on to get better. It's really important. So thanks again for sticking with me. Here's my email address. I get so many emails around the world from people talking about they're watching these videos and questions, and some people even disagree with what I say, which is fantastic. I mean, we're all working to get better when we disagree. I would love to hear from you. What's going on in your world? How are these videos helping you? What would you like to see more of? For the Arkansas Association of High School Officials, this is Todd Allen saying I hope to see you on the field real soon.